So, today's topic, I'd like to take a brief moment to discuss litigation abuse, its effects, the effects of false reporting, and what it does to individuals overall who have to fight it. Domestic violence is a crime between those who share either a family relationship or an intimate partner relationship. It's often associated with physical abuse of women, which in its earlier forms was the most common form of abuse that law enforcement and society noticed when it was practiced. But as times have changed and society has evolved, and physical violence has been replaced with a much more calculated and sophisticated method of abuse than that of the physical abuse that we, as those who have witnessed domestic violence or abuse in the past, have become aware of. Physical abuse has been replaced with cunning and manipulation. People don't have to punch you in your face anymore to gain the effects of harming you. They can attack your reputation, they can attack your social status, they can attack your finances, and they can affect your emotional health in such a way that the damage that they do is far more lasting and has much longer consequences than a physical confrontation would ever have. With that said, I'd like to introduce a new topic. And the new topic that I'd like to introduce in today is litigation abuse, which is the practice of filing false police reports, frivolous lawsuits, and endless, meritless, baseless family court petitions against someone who you want to harm. Now, these false reports, these fictitious lawsuits, these frivolous family court petitions, they have a much more lasting effect because the truth is that the American judicial system is broken. It does not see, it is not colorblind, as it says. Justice is not blind. Justice sees green. The only thing that the court process respects is money. And if you are in a position where you do not have that money, you are in for a very long and hard and unfair fight. Unfortunately, in today's society, the American judicial system, like I said, is broken. Whether it be criminal, whether it be family, whether it be civil, the American judicial system is designed to work against those who lack the resources to feed and pay into the pockets of the judges, the attorneys, or the prosecutors who are responsible for managing this system. The judicial system is $1 billion system. It is not. It is not instituted, I would say, to truly dispense justice. No, it's instituted to fatten the pockets of the people who are employed within this system, whether they be administrators, again, whether they be lawyers, whether they be judges, or whether they be prosecutors. The sad part about that is sometimes and many times the people who truly suffer are the less fortunate, the disenfranchised, those people who the American judicial systems are sworn to protect and serve. There's an old saying that I've heard many years ago. It was actually said by the rapper Tupac, which is that America eats its babies. And America does eat its baby. America gets fat off the flesh of the disenfranchised and those who don't have the resources to fight back. You can pay your way out of litigation abuse, true. But what you pay for today, you'll most certainly pay for again tomorrow. Because without lacking a proper knowledge and understanding of what litigation abuse and false reporting is and what it can do, it will be used on you again. Don't think that just because you hear me talking about it today that it can never be you. It can be you. All you need is one person who dislikes you enough to realize that a physical attack against you is a short victory. And let them have the social backing that they need, whether it be color, whether it be money, whether it be connections, to successfully launch a campaign of litigation against abuse against you. When someone who is intelligent and manipulative enough learns how to use the legal system to attack you, you are in for a hell of a fight. I can tell you this personally because I have been the victim of litigation abuse for about 3 years at the hands of a woman that I broke up with simply because I no longer wanted to date her because she was an immature child. In that decision to stop dating her, what happened is this woman used her connections within the Staten Island District Attorney's Office in the NYPD of Staten Island, which is probably the most racist, racially biased legal system in the city of New York. It is run by racist detectives, and it is run by a district attorney who I believe is the grand dragon of the New York chapter of the Ku Klux Klan. He is biased, he is unjust, he is a completely unethical man who has prosecuted dozens, if not hundreds, of innocent minorities during his 3-term tenure as the district attorney. Now, some might say that this man has been the district attorney because he's qualified and he does a good job. I disagree. The only reason why the Staten Island district attorneys has remained in power because there hasn't been a candidate with enough, I would say, credibility or resources to go against him. Because the old boy system of racism of Staten Island supports this man and keeps him in position. So, because of that system, I was the victim of a horribly malicious prosecution for winning an order of protection in another state, and this woman being criminally indicted for the very crimes to which she was later acquitted of. She was not acquitted because she was innocent. She was acquitted because, like I said, the legal system is incredibly biased, and it is unjust towards those who lack the resources to fight back. What this woman did was falsify medical information against me and use social media by editing content like the content I'm putting before you to lie to a prosecutor's office and make it seem as though I was threatening the prosecutor who was prosecuting her. This prosecutor happened to be a white woman who didn't like black men anyway. So what this prosecutor did was use this woman's information to lock me out of the trial as the victim and remove all of the inculpatory evidence. Inculpatory evidence in a trial is the evidence used to convict an offender. What the prosecutor did was remove all of the inculpatory evidence against this woman so it would look like she was innocent. And with me being barred from the trial as the victim, being denied my legal right to speak, which is what the justice system is about. The victim is supposed to be heard in accordance with the Crime Victims' Rights Bill. But this prosecutor violated my civil rights and barred me from the prosecution off of the fictitious information of this woman, and she was acquitted. But that wasn't enough for this woman. Her campaign of vengeance is still being launched against me, as now she has lost all credibility in New York thanks to multi-million-dollar lawsuits against the Staten Island District Attorney's Office and the NYPD. So having no resources left that she can attack me, she has decided to wage war against me in a municipal court in the state of New Jersey, where she does not reside, in a township where she does not reside. What she does is every time she chooses to file a false police report against me, she goes into this township because New Jersey gives its citizens the ability to file what's called a municipal complaint or a civilian action against someone. It's a complaint much like New York or other places. A police officer is responsible for initiating a criminal prosecution. But in some states like New Jersey, a civilian can walk into a municipal court and charge you with the crime and say, hey, you know what? They did this to me, and sign their own complaint. And the judge in the judicial system of the municipal court will charge you and bring you before the court. So for the last 2 years, this woman has been doing this to me, using the municipal court of New Jersey to file civilian complaints to keep me before the court by alleging fictitious allegations that there is no possible way I could have ever committed. Most recently, she was charged with the false report that she filed 7 days after she was found guilty of an order of protection in New Jersey. Now, I was awarded a lifetime no contact order of protection, protecting myself and my infant child from this woman. I was awarded this on December 1st of 2002. What this woman did, angry and retaliating because she lost, was wait 4 days and then travel into the state of New York, into Staten Island, and file a false police report claiming that the conviction and indictment in New Jersey was a lie. Now, again, the state of New York needs jurisdiction to charge me with a crime that happened. It cannot charge me with offenses that happened in another state, but New York did this, and this is the reason why it is currently being sued. After New York issued this woman this complaint and an investigative card issued by a racist detective by the name of Joseph Perk to detain me, this woman traveled back into the state of New Jersey, into Middlesex County, and filed a false police report on me within a municipality, where she did not live. This municipality and its racist judicial system charged me with a false report for winning a state order of protection for a woman to stop harassing me, which they prosecuted me for almost 2 years until I was effectively able to hire legal counsel and learn the law well enough that I could substantiate the fact that she lied on me by producing the petitions, copies of the trial, and the report from New York to verify that she charged me with the exact same thing in this municipality 3 days before that in the state of New York. So this municipality, finally forced to accept me as the minority victim, had to charge her with false reporting. But she was angry with that again, because this woman's whole purpose of life has now become the destruction of Clayton Howard. By the way, her name is Francina Evans, and I tell you her name because under the First Amendment, I can speak against my offender who is actively trying to harass and destroy me. So what this woman did recently, now that she's finally been charged with a false report, is she falsified another 2 complaints against me so I would be brought before the municipal court, claiming that a website that I created to expose the fact that she's a pathological liar is cyber harassing her. The funny part about that, ladies and gentlemen, is that I have filed 7 complaints for cyber harassment within the last 6 months against this woman for valid allegations that I could definitively prove happened. And this racist judicial system in this municipality refused to violate her with an active order of protection against her. But they granted these 2 petitions against me for allegations that she completely lied about. So I have decided to sue these people in federal court for gender bias and discrimination. This is the only way to truly fight litigation abuse, ladies and gentlemen, and that is to become knowledgeable of the law. My entire life, I truly had no respect for the law because I thought that the law was against minorities, and I realize now that it is. But ignoring the law as a minority is the stupidest thing you can do because, see, what you ignore will one day become your burden. Like I have told my audience, and I hope you're listening, to ignore the fact that people use false police reports, vexatious litigation with frivolous lawsuits, and fictitious family court petitions, you are simply compounding on a problem that may one day become yours. Do not think that just because I sit here today talking to you about litigation abuse, that it's a singular instance that you will never come across. Because believe me, tomorrow you could piss your neighbor off by throwing garbage on his newspaper, and he decide he's going to make your life a living hell, and walk into a municipality or a precinct and lie and say you broke his window, lie and say you damaged his car, or create some type of lie that will drag you before a court for the next year for something that you never did. Abusive litigation is serious. And if you truly wish to become an informed member of society, someone who is socially conscious, someone who cares about the future of your children, your grandchildren, or even yourself, you will support the fight against false police reporting and vexatious litigation. Police will tell you that they cannot arrest offenders who file false police reports because it'll diminish the process of victims reporting crimes. And I say that the police are full of it. If you arrest those who file false reports, the only thing it's going to do is deter other people who file false reports from doing the exact same thing. And this is what law enforcement doesn't want to admit, because the truth is, if they begin to arrest those who file false reports, the officers who take those false reports and who arrest people who are arrested under false reports will have to answer for their lack of investigation in the reports before they effectuated the arrest. So the truth is, by not arresting offenders who file false reports and false petition, law enforcement is truly protecting itself. It's not looking out for the judicial process. It's not trying to look out for people who may become afraid to file reports against people who lie on them. Because here's the truth. Someone who is violated criminally will not be afraid to go to the police. If you're robbed, you're not going to be afraid to go to the police because you're telling the truth. A woman who is raped is not going to be afraid to go to the police if she's actually been raped and her body and her story verifies that. Someone who is assaulted is not going to be afraid to report that assault because of the injuries that they are facing. But someone who lies about being assaulted, they'll be afraid if the police begin to prosecute those who file false reports. So I don't mean to take too long, and my message is simple. Support the movement to prosecute those who file false reports. Advocate against those who use the family court system to file vexatious and fictitious litigation to keep people who they may want to hurt before the court. And also lobby against the civil system so that frivolous lawsuits filed against people who may be completely innocent are better investigated and the legal process can be further, I would say, perfected so that people who lack the resources to fight back are no longer violated. My name is Clayton Howard, and I am a victim of litigation abuse at the hands of Francina Evans, a woman I broke up with who was so much of a child she created a false movement to lie and tell people that I abused her. She was never abused. And if you go to the website francinaevans.com, you will see definitive proof that Francina Evans of Staten Island, New York is a pathological liar who has been using vexatious and false litigation to harass an innocent man who won an order of protection against her, granting him the right to his peace. At the heart of domestic violence, at the heart of any state's domestic violence law is one key tenet, that every statute that's put in place is meant to effectuate for a victim. And that key tenet is the victim's right to be left alone. Yes, an order of protection is just a piece of paper. It truly has no power. But the purpose of an order of protection is to grant the one thing that a victim cannot get by simply going to a police, which is the right to be left alone. Help me fight false litigation and false police reports so that I can obtain the right that a court granted me almost 2 years ago, which is to be left alone by Francina Evans. So, on behalf of justice, on behalf of Operation Rock, I ask you to support the movement against false reporting, support the movement against false police reports in family court, and to stop offenders like Francina Evans who use the legal system to harass people who have legally won the right to be left alone. We all deserve our peace. We all deserve to be left alone, whether it be male, female, LGBTQ, or straight, um, whatever. If you wish to be left alone and a court grants you the right to be left alone, then an offender should not be allowed to harass and stalk you because they choose not to honor an order of protection. And the only way to gain true freedom from that, true knowledge from that, is to support the movement to stop false police reporting and vexatious litigation. Thank you for listening. Spread this message, like, share, and follow. Support the movement to stop false police reporting